Village Talk Show. Come one, come all to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. Give praises to Jehovah, from whom all blessings, blessing and knowledge will flow. Blessing and knowledge will flow. The Village Talk Show, dedicating to empowering the community to live a healthy, safe, and financially capable life, helping each one of us in realizing our dream at any age, any point, starting from today, day. Success. Come one, come all to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. Come one, come all to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. Discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. Success is not spoken, it is done. Success is done. Come on now. The Village Talk Show. Talk Show. The Village Talk Show.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing today? Big Thursday before Juneteenth. All right, to before Juneteenth, which is coming up. So first and foremost, if I even address Juneteenth, I want to take a moment and welcome all of our villagers out there, international, here in New York, in New York State, in Florida, Pennsylvania, wherever you're joining us from. We appreciate it a whole lot because you're the one who make this show happen. So this is the Village Radio Talk Show brought to you by, brought to you from the GD studio right here, 92.1 GD radio on the FM dial. You can catch us on YouTube, where we want all of you to go and subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Village Radio Talk Show. You can catch us on TuneIn Radio at 92.1 GD Radio. Just type it in. Any of our Facebook outlet, on myself, Roderick F. Daly, John Sampson, Dr. Joanne Bryant, Andre Dolman, Sophia Willisey. Any of those stations out there, you can just grab us and let us know what's going on. And send us you can send us an email at villageshow30@gmail.com if there's a topic. I know a couple of you have been reaching out to me about a bunch of topics that you want to talk about. And hopefully today we can get some of them done. So first of all, I bring you greetings. You know, Andre, do me a favor. Can you give me Matthew 6, verse 1 through 5, please? I realize we've been stepping away from what God has done for us. So Matthew 6, 1 through 5. I feel that's the scripture that's on my heart. I do not know what it says, ladies and gentlemen. I am going to be I'm sure I've read it in the past, but I don't know it off the top of my head. But that's what's on my lay in my heart to talk about. Hey, John, why don't you bring us greeting, John?
Greetings, villagers. First things first, all praises and honor goes to God for this day. I want to congratulate you, Mr. Daly, on being elected chairperson of Community Board 17. That's a big feat, but ladies and gentlemen, he was only elected because he ran unopposed because he rigged the election. All right, so we just get that out the way. Also want to...
By the way, wait, before you move on. No. I'm going to talk about... No, I just interrupt you because a lot of people don't know what a community board is. So I just, I don't want you to just skip past that.
So why don't you explain to them?
After you're done. After you're done. Go ahead.
See, it's interrupted.
No, it was not interrupting. I was just saying, since he brought it up, you should just explain it, right? But I will. Go ahead. Not really.
Want to wish Dr. Bryant a happy birthday. Her birthday was yesterday.
She's not here yet, dog.
Well, I want to wish her a happy birthday.
She won't hear.
Our village, irrespective of whether she's here or not. And looking forward to also the Juneteenth celebration. So, villagers, just commend you on doing what you do, making our community work.
All right.
Mr. Dillon, now you can explain to
All right. So before I even mention anything about the community, John is so nice and so modest. Tomorrow's John's birthday too. So John has a birthday tomorrow. Tomorrow, Friday, is going to be his birthday. So he's going to, what is that, John? Number what, 55?
57, brother.
57. So John is celebrating number 57 tomorrow.
No, I'm celebrating the 22nd anniversary of my 25th birthday.
Okay. The 23rd anniversary of his 22nd. 23rd, man.
22nd.
The first one would be when you're 20. Think about it. What are you saying? All right, so your number is correct.
Yeah.
All right. So John is celebrating the 22nd anniversary of his 25th birthday tomorrow. All right, because apparently I thought maybe we'd do 30, at least 30, because that's when he got elected, right? You were 30, right? Or you turned? You're 30, got it. Yeah, okay. So yeah, I thought that's at least when he would celebrate, but nonetheless, big up on his celebratory day tomorrow. Also big up to my boy Sampras.
Also the Father's Day.
Yes.
Big
And
up to Father's Day.
yeah, Sampras get to celebrate his birthday this year. He has a trifecta this year.
That's
My
right.
friend Sampras, he has a birthday. I don't know if it's the 25th anniversary of his 25th. I don't know which one it is. That would make him 60, right? So he ain't 60. So I think it might be like you, 22nd of the 22nd. I don't know. But anyway, happy birthday to him. He has a trifecta, Father's Day and Juneteenth. All in, yes, he has a trifecta when it comes to his birthday. So happy birthday! My son just celebrated his 10th birthday, so he was very excited about that.
Big up.
And he's actually at a game today, so he's gonna miss me singing happy birthday to King. So I'm so upset. I don't even know how the game is going. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna take a sneak look at what is this? At Game Changer. So on Game Changer, they show how they're doing. So let me take a sneak look. I'll tell you exactly how the team is doing right now. They're playing up, by the way. So my son's team is 10U, right? So at 10U, they play up, and they're down. They're down 7. Actually, it's very good. They're only down 7-4. So the other team is batting. He's playing first base. Mason's playing second. All right. Not that you know who these people are. And he's traveling this weekend, so he gets to on Friday they go to Jersey to play. So they have a traveling team, and next weekend they go to Baltimore. So they get to do that. So basically, a couple of things. Since John brought up the community board, I want to thank our local community board here in New York City. I guess the best way for me to explain it is the community. If you live in New York City and maybe other parts of the country, United States, or anywhere, it's called kind of like the local complaint bureau, right? So what are the issues that are plaguing in where you live? Whether you need a speed bump on your street, whether the signs are not up, whether there are too many trucks on your street, they're driving bad, they're doing this, whatever.
I guess you can characterize it as a form of.
I can't hear you. I don't know why I can't hear him. I was hearing him before.
Can you hear me?
This? No. No, mine is out.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
No, I can't hear him. I can't even hear me. Now I can hear me. Yeah, okay. Try again, John.
Can you hear me?
We didn't touch nothing.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
All right. You're saying, John?
Basically, I look at the community board as if you have your PTAs in schools. Your community board is similar to the PTA, meaning that you have a board of community individuals who controls those things that really impact that community. Like suppose your community is East Flatbush, which comprises of the community board 17. It's a group of neighbors and citizens within that area that come together, that create a board and deal with issues that really impact their communities.
Right. And the difference between the community board So it is kind of like, so there are 50 members, up to 50 members that are appointed by the city council and the bar president. So that's what happens in New York City. And so we represent every single citizen, non-citizen, anybody who has business, personal, or residence, and not necessarily just own a home, but residence within that community.
Quality of life issues.
And quality of life issues. So I now represent something close to 300,000 people, like, because everybody that lives in Remsen Village, parts of Canarsie, Rugby, East Flatbush, Flatlands. If you part of the 67 precinct, now you fall under that umbrella. So Rita Joseph, Darlene Mealy, Farrah Lewis, Monique Waterman, Jamie Wright, Kevin Parker, Roxanne Prasad, Zelnor Myrie, former Diana Richardson, now Brian Cunningham, and a few others in there. So Helen Weinstein. So if you're in any of those districts and you live there, then now I am one of your representatives. As a matter of fact, this weekend at Pattagate Park, they're having two events, right? So they have a housing event at Pattagate Park. Pattagate Park is Albany between Foster and Farragut. And there's also a health fair. So, John, many years ago, I sponsored a health fair at Mar 11. It's about 12 to 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And at that health fair, I found out that I had borderline high blood pressure. So going to the health fair and just doing the watch made me recognize that. So that was cool. Today we have a hot show for you today. I don't want to do that before I forget. Let's talk about Juneteenth, John. You were talking about one of your constituents.
One of my constituents, her name was Miss Deans. Miss Deans ran sort of a African American museum over there in Brownsville. And I remember, I think in 1997, when I was a state senator representing the 19th senatorial district, Miss Deans said, "Mr. Sampson, I want to see if we can get some recognition for Juneteenth." So I says, okay, I'm going to do what I can. And first, it started out with a proclamation, meaning honoring the Juneteenth and just celebrating that day. And then it went from a proclamation to a resolution, which was signed by Governor Pataki at the time. And then subsequently, Juneteenth became a piece of legislative law in the state Senate. So I always want to give praise to Ms. Deans for really making that push early on in the late 90s. And now, Ms. Deans, may she rest in peace. We have a federal holiday, Juneteenth. And I just want to tell my villagers, it can start with a small idea in your mind. And that small idea can metastasize into something great. So, never give up on your ideas, never give up on your vision. You keep pushing until you achieve your goal. So that's what it was all about, Juneteenth. Is those who continue to push and making sure, although you had the Emancipation Proclamation, we still were not free. 1 year later, we were free, Juneteenth.
I've always said to people, and people always get mad at me, I'm like, you do know that the Emancipation Proclamation did not free any slaves.
Correct.
And a lot of people are like, what do you mean by that? Of course it did. It's the 15th Amendment or the 14th? I don't remember what number it was. But it didn't free anybody. It freed slaves because at that point in 1965, when the Emancipation Proclamation came out, right? When the Emancipation Proclamation came out, the Union did not have control of the South. And it freed the slaves in the South, right? So, but they didn't have, so if the South had won, right, slavery would have still existed.
Continue.
Right? Well, continue. We don't know if it would have been existed. That's a good point, because British did cut it out many, many years before, even though there were still racial issues in Great Britain back in those times. But, so Juneteenth is actually far more significant, because that's when all slaves, North and South, were deemed truly free. Although at the end of the day, the Jim Crow laws and all the other crap in the South,
Continue,
still continues up to this day. Election fraud and and election.
Election fraud. There's no such thing as election
Right,
fraud.
election. What is it? Election fraud, election bullying. You know, it's funny. The same people who are fighting against bullying, John, are the same people who are bullying people. Put a charger and say it doesn't go dead all the time, please. I don't know if the charger's not there. It might not be there, but so just keep an eye on it, John. All right. So congrats, Miss D's. Yeah, this is weak. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, sir.
All right. Okay, so it's the headset. That's the issue. You know, congratulations to Miss D's in memoriam for what it is that you did to bring about Juneteenth. And you know, today we have a lot to talk about. By the way,
What's that? What do we have to talk about today?
Well, let's talk about.
Let's talk about the obvious. Can we talk about the obvious?
Wait, which one? There's so many obvious right now. Which one?
Obvious is villagers' average gas price is $5.01. This time last year, gas was maybe $3, $2.99 a gallon. 1 year later, it's over $5. If you want to get cheap gas,
the cheapest gas,
the cheapest gas I've seen so far, $4.89 is on Utica and Clarendon Road gas station.
Both of them, the mobile and the Shell.
The mobile and the Shell, $4.89.
I think what happened on that there,
and that's
John,
both credit and cash.
Yeah, you know what I realized what happened. So the one going northbound on Utica Avenue was a BP.
Right.
So now it became a Shell.
Right.
So now, because they want to entice new customers, they've lowered the gas prices. But mobile won't make any money because you can't have $5.15 across the street and $4.89 across the street. That's
right.
20. That $4. Well, I hate to say that 89 cents that they put up because it's 9/10. So $4.90 on one side and $4.20 on the other. And then so they're not gonna make any money, right? That's 30, almost 30 cents difference when you look at that. What is it? 5.50? It was 5.16 at one point. So you have about 26 cents different. People are gonna go to 26 cents.
And you know, it's just honestly, it's really pathetic to see these prices. You cannot. It's every day. Inflation it has hit its highest peak, 8.6%. And not only that, if we look at the cost of everyday necessities like grocery stores, I mean, it's double of what we paid before. The price of eggs have gone up close to 34%. Everything is going up, and it's just the cost of living has enhanced so much. You know, our salaries continue to stay stagnant, but even if our salaries can't keep up to the price hikes that are on a continual basis.
I think some of it, right? I think that some of it is some of it, not some of it, a lot of it is corporate greed, right? A lot of it is corporate greed because their bottom line can't change, but ours can, right? So they're not the top 20%, right? The top 20% they're not willing. They're getting pay raises, pay hikes. The companies are making their bottom line stays the same. So if what I'm saying is, like, if your production is 30% of the market rate, they want to keep it at 30% of the market rate. And in order for them to keep it that way, they're going to raise prices, right? So it starts at the top. So the government, now let's be honest. I mean, at one point in Donald Trump's tenure, people forgot that. But around the first couple of years of his tenure, gas prices were really high.
They were high. Right.
But people forgot that because most Americans have short-term memory. I only remember what are you doing for me right now?
And they were high, but they weren't.
But it never got as high, right?
Never got as high.
But people didn't. A lot of people don't remember that. Oh, gas prices weren't high on the down. Yes, the hell they were.
They were high.
They were high.
But in comparison to what they are,
they're not.
The rate of the rate hikes that are happening now are nowhere near the rate of the rate
And-
hikes during his tenure.
And what people fail to look at is gas price. So if gas price was what you said $3 a year ago, gas
$2.99.
right. So if it's $2.99, well, we call it $3 for round off, and gas price right now is $5 for rounded off, right? That's $2 difference in gas price. Now, as far as that means that gas price has risen 67%.
That's correct. Because I remember this time last year, it cost me $66.
Yep.
$67 to fill up my tank. This year it cost me about 100, anywhere between 110 115.
Right. And last year in my car, right? In my car, it cost me roughly this right now. It cost me roughly $130 to fill up my tank. Right.
And that because you put in, I put in regular, you put in,
I put in
premium,
93. Right.
And that's like
but wait, but if your regular is cost how much it would be if it was premium?
Oh, if it was premium, it'd be about $1.50.
Yeah, right. And so when you really think about it, right? When you really think about it, that's a significant 67% increase between last year and this year. So you went out, you bought a car because now you could afford to spend a little money, right? You could afford to spend a little money in a car. So you went out and said, okay, let me buy this car. Now it's backfiring, right?
It is.
So there are two things there are three things that are happening. One, I spoke to one of my cousins yesterday. We had a very long conversation. He's an econ person, right? He did a lot of, he's an accountant, and we were having this conversation. He was talking about apartments prices went up $700.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody sent me one of my friends. They had bought a house in Port Lucie, and she sent me a mock-up for the specs for another house in a community. It went up $250,000 between last year and this year when they bought the house. So it's a little bit over a year that they bought the house. So now the issue that I'm saying is we were talking about the rent has gone up, the tax prices have gone up because now the property has gone up, right? Astronomical. So a lot of people don't want that because the people feel
The whole issue was supply and demand. That's why also the price is elevated.
Yep. And so part of that, but now nobody's salary has gone up even 10%, right? Even 10%. So now what I'm telling families is certain things, like you need to start cutting out certain things, right? You need to start cutting out maybe the extra cup of coffee, that McDonald's, those pizza, whatever it is extra. And what does that mean, John? It means that every other business is going to suffer.
It means that times have changed, and we have to start just changing our method of doing things. And it's it's reality, and we know it, and we will get through it. But we have to, this is where financial literacy comes into play to really deal with situations such as this. But and what's interesting, Roderick, is that the Fed just increased the rate three quarters of a point. So the mortgage rates have increased. Hey, Big Mo, good evening. How you doing, Mo? Mr. Unger, it's always good to see Mr. Unger. Or making more money. You're right, Steve. You're definitely, but it's time to be an entrepreneur. But at the same time, you want to be an effective entrepreneur. You don't want to bleed the people. You want to make sure it's affordable. And I think how much is enough? And that's what it comes down to. But what's interesting now is because they figure by us increasing the rates, inflation is the result of our spending power, meaning we're spending so much money. What we're making that dollar we're making the dollar worthless, we're making it worthless. And as a result,
I said verse 1 to 5, not just verse 5.
1 to 5. But what it comes down to, villages, is that we have to be extremely mindful of the way we spend our money and invest our money, because those who
You
have been in
remember
the stock market
verses 1 to verse
this
5.
past week, the week before last, they've took substantial hits. But going forward, hopefully with the rate hike increase, the demand will slow down with respect to these homes, because of that, you're paying an extra 50, 60, $70,000 because of that
I
three
wish.
quarters of a that because of that 3/4% that the rate hike went up. So villagers, we have to be very mindful in going forward and prioritize. We just have to start prioritizing, and also making sure that we save something for a rainy day to deal with situations like this. What's going to happen?
I think that people need to look at uh, what can they do. Again, our guest tonight, hopefully everything works out and he does come on. He will be talking about your investment, right? What is it that it is that you wanted? Let me read you this. Go over a couple of things with you before. One, just to remind everybody. I know. So can we run the commercial? Um, um, we're dedicated to empowering the community to um, to live a healthy, safe, and financially capable life through education, helping each one of us in realizing our dreams at any age, at any point, starting from today. Um, John mentioned success is not just spoken, it is done. So, what are you doing to be successful? So, at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, let's figure out what it is that um, what is it that we are what is it that we're doing to be successful. And so I felt moved to just we used to normally, for those of you who joined us for the first time. Nah, it's more than 2 weeks. Nah, it was more than 2 weeks. I know it's more than 2 weeks, trust me. Okay, all right, whatever. But whatever it was still longer than a week. um Take heed that he do not um alms before men, to be seen of them. Otherwise, he have no reward of your Father which is in heaven. Therefore, when thou dost thine alms, do not sound a trumpet before thee, as hypocrites do in synagogues and in the streets, that they may have glory of men. Verily, I say unto you, they have their reward. But when thou doest alms, let not thy left hand know what thy right hand doeth. Right? Google the word alms for me, ALMS. Um, huh? No, I didn't say that. I said Google it. Right. I just want to make sure that we get it out there. That thine alms may be the secret. Thy Father which seeth in secret himself shall reward thee openly. And when thou prayest, thou shalt not be as the hypocrites are, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and in the corners of the street, that they may not be seen by men. Verily I say to you, they have their reward. So I could be wrong, but I just want to remind you that take heed that he do not your alms before men be seen of others, of that be seen of them, otherwise he have no reward. So in other words, don't be braggadocious and prideful, right? And don't be overly proud of things that you have accomplished through the faith, through the Father, not through you, right? And give God thanks, and don't do things. When you pray to God, do not do it in secret. Thine alms may be in secret. Thy Father which seeth in secret himself shall reward thee openly. So giving you whatever you need, and do justice to whatever is happening. So again, it goes back to being thankful. When thou prayest, thou shalt not be as the hypocrites are, for they pray standing in the corners, but be openly and upfront with God. Let your voice be heard and be thankful. If anybody out there want to add anything to it, please do. Please do chime in. Usually I leave that up to my dad. He's the, my dad is the big man. Huh? And he actually has, I think he has church at the same time as we do. Did you remember to do this, to reach out to her? Huh? Okay. Also, so just, giving thanks about that. So let's go back and I didn't hear you. Oh, commercial. I forgot about that. See, I have short-term memory, ladies and gentlemen. So it's Andre's fault. So I'm blaming. Yeah, guy. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for pointing out that we are sponsored by the Single Parent University. To reach them, it's 646-779-6767. If you need some assistance with personal development, mindful parenting, support seminar, financial management, nutrition and wellness, do reach out to the Single Parent University. They'll provide you with free childcare, transportation, social support hub, resume writing. So you get all that good stuff. So don't be bashful. Do come out, get the answers that you seek about how to be a better single parent. And don't be bashful. If you have an issue, don't be bashful. Okay? There's a couple I did mention. Let me see if I can find it in my email. Let me see, health fair. So we have a health fair at the community board. There was one at Brookdale last week. Meeting, health fair, radio show, disparity. Let me see if I can see health fair. There's the community board 17 is sponsoring a health fair on Saturday, right, at Pattagate Park, right here in Brooklyn. It's sponsored by Pearline Field, Miss Pearline Fields, who's the chair of the education, of the housing, and how does housing impact. We're just talking about that and the raise of rent and everything else that's involved with that. So please do come out. It's from 12 noon to 5 p.m. There'll be giveaways for people who are in the audience. Our congresswoman will be there, as well as other elected officials will be there at that point. You'll have also the health fair will be at the same location, but that will start a little bit earlier. So the health fair, they're going to have overlapping times. So I would say the best time to come there is between 12 and 3, right? And come out and participate in the social service committee that will be sponsoring that event right here in Brooklyn, Pattagate Park, with the giveaways and everything else. So come out, please do enjoy. All right, so Stephen, you put up their residual income, and I see that, right? And I just want to let you know that residual income, though it sounds good on radio, people have it. You have to be able to get to that point, right? So, right. So you need to. People have to learn that. So one of those things with residual income is like buying a building, right? Buying a building, you get rent. Residual income is money that you get by just sitting at home. So you sit home, you wake up, you go to the bank, there's money in there. That's residual income. You have just an example that I gave, right? Andre calls it intellectual property. So, right. Well, royalties, kind of like what they call royalties, right? You sit home, a check shows up. So you want to put yourself in place for residual income, like multi-level marketing. If you're good at it, it can provide residual income, right? So you sell Mary Kay, and you're at the bottom of the totem pole. Then you get a few people to come in and join. Then you move up, and then they get a few people to join, and they move up. You get a few more people to join, and they move up. And at some point, you get money from the person you brought, the people you brought in, the people they brought in, the people they brought in, and you don't have to work. You don't have to You just have to keep everybody updated, but you physically don't have to go out and sell anymore. That's residual income. But at some point, right, we want to make sure, Stephen, that people have access to that residual income, right? So buying a building is residual income, but people are not paying rent, right? So what is the amount of money that you have that's going to allow them, right? Allow people, right? Allow people to get that income. And one of those ways to do that as well, right? One of those ways to do that is to have your proper pension and your proper 401k and making sure that you invest from early. A lot of people can't retire because they didn't do any investment. I know a few, right? And our guest tonight, the comptroller, right? Right, the comptroller will be talking about that. How do you make sure that you maintain and sustain your 401k, right? My son's game was close, Andre, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's 13-4. So let me bring the comptroller on right away. I'm very upset. It was just 7-4, and they gave up 6 runs. And I don't know, comptroller. I don't know what's going on with that team. They're playing in your former district, there, comptroller.
Oh, where are they, at DiMattina Field or in Prospect Park?
No, no, actually, no, I'm sorry, it's not yours. They're in Red Hook. They're further down than you. They were, but they're not there right now.
All right. How old is your son?
He's 10.
Very good. All right. Well,
yeah, but
he wasn't on the mound. Was he on the mound when they gave up all those runs?
Oh no, he was not.
Okay, well, I'm glad to hear that.
I'm glad to hear that too. How are you doing today, comptroller? How are you?
I'm doing great. I just come back from dinner with my guy who's now 23, and I remember when he was 10 and out there playing, and those are some of the best days. So
yeah, I haven't seen you since Albany, since we were up there by Boogie not Boogie Woogie, just doing our rounds with our new ambassador to Jamaica up there. So it was kind of excited. So I'm glad you're able to make it on.
Yeah, that was nice to be here as well. And yeah, that was fun. To be up there with him.
Yes, that is awesome. Then bring on our co-hostess. Welcome, co-hostess.
Hello.
I see you made it. Comptroller, I think she was just timing you. That's what it is.
That's not true.
Yes. So I know you have limited time, so I don't want to. I want to make sure that you get out your points. We get our points, and if we can get.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. So
yes, we do.
Yeah.
So I don't know, John, you ready? If John, you ready?
Oh yeah, definitely. Controller, welcome. Congratulations, but also welcome. And I think one of the important aspects that really impact our community, especially with the non-for-profits and the red tape that exists for those organizations to be reimbursed or certain contracts being paid out during creative times, because some of our non-profit organizations are financially on a string when it comes to providing services to our communities. And I know you and the mayor made it a point to cut some of that red tape out, so some of these non-for-profits can receive these funds readily instead of always living from we wouldn't say paycheck to paycheck, from month to month, being able to sustain and provide the services.
This is worse than paycheck to paycheck, because it's like you're not getting one at all. Obviously, for our firefighters, for our teachers, for our, we couldn't say to them, well, you got to show up every day, but it's going to take us 9 months or a year even to get you paid. But for so many of our not-for-profit organizations, and that could be these cure violence groups that got folks out there occupying the corners and keeping the peace at night. That could be for the tutors that are working in our schools. That could be for the Meals on Wheels program that bring food to our seniors, on and on. There's about 20% of the city's budget is done through contracting, and a whole lot of that is to nonprofit organizations. Some of those are big, long-time established groups, but a lot of those are newer groups just started up in the neighborhood. And they don't have deep pockets. And so if they contract with the city, right now, in a lot of cases, it could take the city. Well, I'll give you one example. A lot of the city's fiscal year starts on July 1st. And so, we're almost done with this fiscal year. We have over 1,000 contracts to nonprofit human service groups that started last July 1st, that the groups had to show up and start providing the services. But we still have not, as a city, registered the contracts and started paying them for what they were owed last July, last August, last September, last October. They still got to pay their people because, of course, their people can't pay their rent. And so that means they're borrowing money from a bank, or they're just like juggling. And it really is so unfair. And it just is it's not a way to work together with all these folks who are working so hard to provide services in our community. So you're right. When Mayor Adams and I got elected last November, I reached right out and said, Mr. Mayor, we got to fix this. He said, Brad, absolutely. And our teams have rolled up our sleeves together, and we're making some progress. This is a big mountain to climb. There's a lot of reasons why the system is so slow. I'm pleased to say in my office, when the contracts get to us for registration, we have 30 days to register them. We're on a clock. We're now registering them on an average of 13 days. We really sped it up. And we are working really closely with the mayor's team to try so hard to do all the things we can do. And it's a big set of changes because we need change at the different city agencies, Department for the Aging, Mayor's Office of Criminal Justice, Department of Youth and Community Development, at the Law Department, at the city's Office of Management and Budget, and in my office as well. So if you've got a nonprofit, if you're a staff person or a director or a board member of a nonprofit, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, if you know anybody in your community who does this work, talk to them. They'll tell you. But we're going to make this better.
And one thing I could say,
I promise.
Controller, on that, I do work for Exodus, and you were very helpful to Exodus when they were in a bind there. You got things done very quickly. So I can say definitely you're correct about that. Your office is moving these things a lot quicker than they were moved before.
I want to throw in a partial question. Well, not a partial, a full question, but part of the same not-for-profit conversation. One of the things for nonprofit, 501c3, you have to have a stream of funding in some regards. Like you say, the payback takes a while. Is there any way that even within the city or the state, or using your office to say, about funding, to be able to say, if the state provides or the city provides funding to an organization, is there any way to say, okay, you can have access to 10, 20, 30% of that money? Because that's one of the major fear of starting a 501c3. If I don't have the funding allocation outside of what the government gives,
Yep,
I'm in trouble. So I have to go out and do these different things
yep,
to raise money that I'm now have to show receipt to spend to continue functioning. So is there any way that, like, your
yep.
office, the controller's office, give money to an organization to say, okay, you could get 20%, 30% that you can immediately start to use until we can streamline the process to get the other 80%?
Yeah, this is a great question, and we do have some programs, some things like that. So right now, once your contract gets registered, even if you have not, accrued expenses, you can, in most cases, if you're a not-for-profit, 25% of the contract as an advance. And actually, for those cure violence groups, those gun violence and violence interrupter groups, they can actually get up to 50% in an advance. So that's really helpful. But the problem is your contract has to be registered before you get the advance. And right now that is taking many months. And so that helps a little, but not enough. And then the city does have a good loan fund program with the Fund for the City of New York. And they'll also lend you some money against a contract that you have with the city. And they'll do it a little bit earlier. You don't have to wait till your contract is fully registered for that. But you do have to wait until the contracting agency, Department of Youth and Community Development, or whoever it is, it signs off on it, and also the mayor's office of contract services signs off. So that's earlier in the process, but still might be months in. So those are two things that do what you're saying, but even there's a problem there. So we got to look for other ways to get groups working capital. It's a good suggestion, but we also have to speed the process up and just make it take fewer months.
Controller, I just want to just jump in and Controller, especially now you see what's going on with the market, and how is that impacting your strategy with respect to investing with the pension funds and everything else? How has that been going?
Yeah. Well, so first I want to just guarantee, because I know your listeners include a lot of people that either work for the city or retirees who used to work for the city. And I know even some of your family members. I'm lucky to have Anne Marie in our office working with me. So I know you've got a lot of folks out there listening who are city workers or retirees, and I want to guarantee them, we invest for the long term in the New York City pension fund. So if you're a New York City secretary, school crossing guard, teacher, firefighter, whatever it is, your pension is safe. You are going to have the retirement security that you were promised. Last year was an amazing year in the markets, and the New York City pension funds were up 26%. This year is not an amazing year in the markets, and the pension funds are going to be, down a little bit. But we smooth it over 8 years. Like we're, more than 80% funded. We've got plenty of, the dollars are there for now. That does mean, and you're right, that our investment professionals, we've got the Bureau of Asset Management, a chief investment officer, a whole great set of, and they've got a very broad set of investments that they make, so that we're broadly invested across the market, because even in a moment like this, when, the stock market is down, there are opportunities to buy companies that are really good values in a time like this. You think about long-term growth opportunities, and you balance, you have some money in U.S. equities, you've got some money in fixed incomes, we've got some money in private equity, we've got some money in real estate, we've got some money in opportunistic fixed incomes, in loans, and we balance it out across all these asset classes, as a result of which, still some years you're up and some years you're down, but balanced over the long term, we can guarantee everybody's retirement security. And yeah, I feel proud of the team we have. And it's a rough time to be an investor, but New York City's pensioners can know their pensions are safe.
Do you affect the? Oh yeah, she's saying thank you. She's
Don't laugh. Don't laugh.
Look,
wants,
I'll tell you, this is my pension. This is my pension too.
Listen,
I'm a New York City
you're
public
so right
sector
about
employee, so I get it. Believe me, I'm counting on my pension just like you are, and just like so many New Yorkers are. It's like, people sacrifice something to work for the city. You make less than you could make if you're out in the private sector. We need those jobs the most of all. Think about our public school teachers, about the nurses at Health and Hospitals Corporation. Like, these are folks doing the most important work in the world. We don't compensate it as well as we do, Wall Street or, big law firm. But at least we make this promise that will be there for you when you retire, and people can count on that promise.
Now that you mentioned that, Roger, I have to jump in.
Go ahead. Go right on ahead. It's your birthday. Go ahead.
How will the loss of up to $6 million to New York City DOE impact the equity of education in the city?
Yeah, this is such an important question. During the pandemic, the federal government stepped up and provided additional dollars to a lot of households, but then they stopped doing that. And they did give a lot of money to cities and states, kind of a one-time, so our schools got over $7 billion. Our city as a whole got about $22 billion to make up for lost revenue and to cover costs during the pandemic. But that was a one-time contribution. And so now we're headed into a school year where we still have some of the federal money that was given to us, but we're not getting new sources. So we have to be thoughtful about how we spend the remainder of those federal dollars. We're also getting some new money from Albany because last year they agreed after so many years to step up and comply with their obligations under what was called the Campaign for Fiscal Equity lawsuit to try to help us reduce
which I'm
class
supportive
size. Yes, thank you. No, those are huge. And we do have those resources. So there is enough money in the school budget this year to invest equitably across the school system. One big issue that's happening right now is that the formula that the Department of Education uses to send money out to schools, it's called the Fair Student Funding Formula, and it's based on how many students you have in your school and what needs they have. You get a little extra money if you've got a student who has an IEP or a student who's homeless, as you should. So that's a good formula. But because enrollment has been declining modestly across the city, that formula right now is sending less money out to the individual schools. But that's a big problem for those schools. You know, let's imagine you got 100 third graders, and so you have them in 4 classes, 25 students each. And now you lose 5 students because they moved away from the city or, you know, went to a parochial school. And now you only have 95 kids going into 4th grade. Well, if your budget gets cut, and that's what's happening right now, then you might have to access 1 teacher, lay off a teacher. Now you only got 3 4th grade teachers. And so you got 95 kids. They're going to be in classes of like 32 students each, which is not good for anyone. And that really is what's happening right now. So we have been pushing the mayor and the Department of Education. You know, there is enough money in the city, in the school budget this year. Still, there is enough money left over. We have a couple of $1 billion remaining of the federal stimulus dollars. We could use $215 million to make sure that schools don't have to be increasing class size, eliminating their music program. But it really is going to take parents making their voices heard, because the plan right now is to make those cuts to a lot of school budgets.
Wait, I want to ask a question. Okay. Hold on. It's going to go back to what we were talking about and combined with what you're talking about now. The cost of living adjustment, right? I don't know. A lot of people are moving out of the city because as a matter of fact, before you got on, I don't know if you heard some of the conversation we're having about people just can't afford to live in New York City at all. You can't afford to live in New York State, but even worse, New York City. And then you have a lot of retirees. They don't want to stay in New York City. I want to go back to the schools across the board. They're suffering, right? So if a family leaves, go to Alabama, goes to one of these red states, we don't want to call no names, but they go to a red state where housing is cheaper. New York City we just lost a congressional seat. And in the last 2 census, we lost a seat each, right? As far as I can remember. Is there anything that can be done from your perspective as a controller that would help with COLA so that people, maybe a city adjustment, people would decide to stay, so that the schools don't get smaller, people don't move out because they can't afford to pay the new taxes, the new rent, whatever the case is, to help ease some of the burden? Is there something that your office are using to bully pulpit the conversation?
Absolutely. This is a great question. And of course, right now with inflation so high, you know, and every different kind of cost. I mean, rent especially, housing costs especially are just so high here, and already were high, but now they're just through the roof. There was some new data that came out last week that basically said there are no apartments for rent in the city for less than $1,500. So if you're a working person and you lose your home, you get kicked out, you get evicted, you got to go find a new place. You just literally in the city can't find an apartment that you could afford. Obviously, we have some affordable and public housing units. People might have bought a home in Southeast Queens a long time ago, but if you're looking now, they don't exist. So housing is high, gas is high, food is high, and all those things are a real problem all around the country, but several of them, housing especially, are extra high here in New York. So 2 things we're doing in my office. One, today we launched the next phase of a campaign we've been pushing for more fair property taxes, for property tax reform. Because right now, it might seem incredible, but it really is true that a homeowner in the Northeast Bronx, in Southeast Queens, on Staten Island, disproportionately Black and brown homeowners pay an effective tax rate that's 3 times the amount that my neighbors and I pay as an effective tax rate in Park Slope. It's just we have a totally inequitable property tax system, and it's an extra burden on working class and middle class homeowners, especially Black and brown homeowners. And of course, that's an unacceptable piece of the higher cost people are feeling. So um, we've convened an amazing coalition. It's bipartisan. We got some Republicans from Staten Island, obviously lots of Democrats. We had folks from all 5 boroughs. Kevin Riley from the Northeast Bronx. I did an amazing town hall with a bunch of Black homeowners up there. Natasha Williams, with whom I did a town hall in Southeast Queens. So we are pushing for reform to our property tax system. That does mean that some folks like me are going to have to pay more of our fare in our property taxes, but that is so that working and middle class families and homeowners aren't overpaying, which you are now, which they are now. So that's one step, and we're going to keep pushing really hard to make that happen. We've needed property tax reform for years, really for decades, and everyone says, oh, it'll never happen. But I think this is the time. Part of the reason is yesterday, our biggest tax exemption expired, called 421A. It actually goes all to for-profit private developers to build multifamily housing with mostly market rate units. And there was a big battle fought. That tax break expired yesterday, and I'm so glad it did, because now it opens up the opportunity for us to win property tax reform and have something more fair. And then the other thing is, look, we do need, the biggest cost in New York City is housing, and we don't have enough of it. And not everybody likes new development in their neighborhood, and I sure get it, especially when that development is something you can't afford. But we need a whole lot of new development that is something people can afford. And, if you think back to the old Mitchell-Lama program, in the 1950s and 60s, the city built big buildings, high rises like Co-op City or like Starrett City. But Co-op City is owned by the people who live there. It is a co-op of working class families of color. They're not getting rich. You can't sell those units for hundreds of thousands of dollars, but you have a little bit of generational wealth, something you can hand down to your kids. You have an asset that you could borrow against. And we have examples like that at Penn South, at Amalgamated Houses. So we need to get back in that business of when we do new affordable housing, not just like a high-rise building built by a for-profit private developer that's mostly market rate with a few units of not all that affordable housing. We need to build more like the Mitchell-Lama program, co-ops that are opportunities for affordable homeownership, and housing that really is affordable for working class families. And that's going to take a lot of work, but it is something that our city can do to make it possible for so many people who love this place, who want to be here. But right now, and they might even say, fine, I'll take the subway instead of driving to avoid the gas. I'll deal with this inflation. I'll put a few more hours in, but I can't afford a place to live. And that's the core thing we really got to work on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Comptroller, and I think that's why it's important that you can use the leverage of your office to assist in trying to make housing more affordable, implementing certain social or criminal justice reforms that truly impact the communities. And, I guess that's what we're looking to you for, to show that leadership, which you have done, and ensuring that this city can be a city that we can be proud of, but most of all can afford to live in.
Amen.
That is true.
We soon have a bunch of people, right? Oh, okay. I'm going to get to that in a minute. I think he was making a joke. What was that? Which is not necessarily a bad joke. We will soon have a bunch of people riding bicycles more and more.
But you know what?
Wait, there's a talk, that says that.
Oh, I see. Yes. All right.
The gas prices are going up because they want people to buy electric cars. I don't know. That's just a side thing. I have a question for you. You had a question?
Yeah, Control. I just wanted to get the the MWBE to using your office and providing opportunities for those minority investment houses to be a part of the city and to get certain allocations to assist them to help the city manage their huge funds and stuff like that. And just wondering, what is your impact and how is your office trying to make sure that happens and do better than whatever percentage that they want to see.
This is so important. We were talking about those pension funds before. Those pension funds are largely, Black and Latino folks. That's whose retirement it is. And yet, so many of the money managers on Wall Street and the big Wall Street firms are owned by white men. And that's who historically makes tons of money investing the money of working people. And, that's just a classic, like, rich get richer kind of story. There are, of course, a really brilliant set of Black and Latino and Asian and women asset managers, but who have not had as much opportunity. And so it really is the responsibility of in all investors. It doesn't matter whether you're a public pension fund or not, of all investors, but especially of public pension funds, to be making sure that as part of our contracting with money managers, with asset managers, we are finding those, top tier managers of color and women. We made a lot of progress on this in the controller's office. Obviously, I've only been here 6 months, so I can't claim most of the credit, but we're now up to about $17 billion invested with MWBE firms. That's about 12% of our actively managed funds. And that number is, higher than it was a few years ago, but
Make
that's
sure
still obviously
Comptroller,
way
could you say that
below.
again can you say that again for our listeners so they understand what you just said?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's about $17 billion is invested with MWBE managers, about 12% of what are called our actively managed funds. That's where you hire a firm, a private equity firm, a real estate investment firm. So now 12% is 3 times the average city MWBE rate, which is only about 4%, but it's nowhere near equity. Like, let's be clear, right? We're in a city that is majority Black and brown. So I'm not trying to take too much credit. Just saying 12% is higher than it was. And $17 billion is not chump change, but we got a long way to go. So actually, I have just gotten back. I actually spent the first couple of days of this week at an investment conference, the Robert F. Kennedy Human Rights Compass Investors Conference in Massachusetts, which is, one of its purposes is to make introductions to different funds. So there were a lot of folks there that we already have investments with, like Vista, owned by Robert Smith, one of the biggest Black-owned investment firms. But I met some amazing new companies too. Met a great investor, a guy named Damian Dwin from Lafayette Square. He's starting a new fund that's going to make its money by making loans to businesses in low and moderate income census tracts in our cities all around the country, including in New York City. And he's got a real interesting business plan. So I don't make the investment decisions. I hire people that are really talented at money management, at allocation. But it's my job to help set. And I work, the decisions in the New York City system. We've got 5 funds: fire, police, teachers, NYCers, and Board of Education. And each of those has trustees elected by the union members who work together with me in my office. And you have to have a majority. So I don't make all these decisions myself, but it's my job to work together with those trustees to set goals and parameters that help us guarantee the retirement security. We got to have good returns, but to do it with attention to a whole lot of issues: the environment, worker justice in those companies, but absolutely to issues of equity, of racial justice, and that includes having Black and brown and women fund managers. And we're working hard to do it. We've made some progress, but of course we have a long way to go.
I want to, for me, one of the issues is streamlining. All right. These things, there's $17 billion, We want to increase the amount of participation, but it's also has to do with streamlining, how to get the MWBEs into the pool, right? So sometimes I talk to somebody that said, like, for example, you have to be in business for this much time before you can apply for these contracts. But again, at the same time, you're still hungry, right? You still need food, and inflation is rising. And like I said, we're talking about earlier. You just stated, and we both agree,
Yeah.
taxes are going up, and this and blah, blah. So you don't have any money, but yet still you have to wait this
Yeah.
time to show, or you have to show
So,
that you're not making this much money, stuff like that. It's things like that.
yeah. So for our investment program, we actually have this great program called the Emerging Managers Program, because you're right. Look, to be, the pension funds are over $250 billion. So we invest money in big chunks. There's not, we're not making an investment, in a new startup, retail business. We're making investments in big funds that have a track record. And of course, they got to show a track record because we're investing money on behalf of the city retirees. So it's hard to break in. One thing we have is a program called the Emerging Managers Program, where we invest in a fund that then that breaks it down and invests it in a smaller, gives those emerging who might be breaking in for the first time an opportunity. We got a great emerging managers program in private equity, in real estate. So that's just one model of what people can do. If your standard program locks people out who are trying to get in, then maybe you can do subcontracting, you can bundle contracts, you can. So we have that in our emerging managers program. The city does some of that through subcontracting, but we got to get pushed to do more of it, because even though we're making incremental progress, we just are still so far below what anyone would call equity.
Absolutely. Joe?
Is there a difference between the New York metro area inflation and the nation? If so, what is?
So this is a really interesting question. I'm just checking my phone. My phone battery is getting dangerously low. So let me take this question, and then maybe I'm gonna have to wrap up with you in a minute. Um, this one I was very surprised by the answer to, because my team did some digging in, and as of about a month ago, inflation in the New York City area was actually on average lower than it was around the country. And we found that there were two main reasons for that. One is that the biggest price that's going up is gasoline. And in the New York metro area, a lot fewer of us drive our cars to work every day. We're blessed with mass transit. And so we have fewer people driving. That means New Yorkers on average are spending less on gas, and therefore they've seen less inflation. That doesn't help you if you need to drive. The gas is up just as much. The fact that your neighbors take the subway doesn't save you any money, but it's an average. And then in the other area that ironically, where things are a little better in New York, if you look at the averages, is in housing. Now that's crazy, because I was just telling you how high the housing prices are. But the reason is that because of rent stabilization, and we have a lot more public housing than anywhere around the country, there are a whole lot of people who have stable rents. Now, again, that doesn't help you one iota if you're not one of those people, or if you're a kid looking for their home, or if you got evicted, or so the averages will tell you that our costs on average are a little lower in housing and gasoline. But boy, if you have to go rent a new apartment, or you got to buy gas at the pump, it sure does not feel like that.
Interesting.
Tell me about it.
Those are
So I
still
know
good
you have
policies,
to.
though. I will say that, yeah.
I know you
That
have
says
to
build
run.
mass transit and build more affordable housing. So let's get those things done.
Definitely. I know, as for the villagers, if there's an issue or concerns that we have, is there somebody we can contact in your office to, just call upon some of
Absolutely.
our listeners have
Absolutely. You
certain
can,
issues.
absolutely. You can go to our website, which is Comptroller, COMPTROLLER.nyc.gov. You could shoot me an email, which is Comptroller at comptroller.nyc.gov. And I'm looking for the phone number. So if folks want to call the old-fashioned way, you can call us at 212-669. Oh my goodness, I can't see. 3600.
All right.
I need my
Well,
glasses
that's
to
all
be
right.
able to
I need
read.
my glasses sometimes too. Don't worry about that. So I have two quick questions, right? Two very quick, very, very quick.
212-669, correct? 3600. 669?
3,600. Yes.
669. Yep.
So the first one, very fast.
669. Oh, excuse me. 35. 3,500. 212. I'm sorry. Let me get this right though. 212-669-3500.
Okay.
All right. So you're gonna answer. Like
all right.
when
Go
in
ahead
church,
with the questions.
you do a popcorn answer. Ready?
Oh,
The
boy.
cameras were created to be placed in school zones.
Yeah.
There's
all right.
a visible disparity. It seems to be used as a regressive tax opportunity, and a lot of it as we talked about, in low income or low middle class families. What is your office going to do to make the cameras be used for their original intent, and also to create equity, right? And the time frame. At least let's do that. Let's start with that.
So I will say I've gotten a lot of those tickets. I'm not proud of it, but I think that I had 8 over the last 4 or 5 years. So I don't know that it's an issue of equity, because I really do think they are by basically every school, and the schools are all over the city. But I will tell you here, like, I'm not proud of these tickets. I paid them, of course, but they're $50. But slowing down is the right thing. Like, I've gone to too many funerals and too many vigils for people that got killed by traffic crashes, and you don't think you're going to be the driver that does that, but the difference between going 25 and going 35 on a resident street really is the difference between somebody living and dying. So I hear you that it's not fun to get them, it's not fun to pay them, no one could afford them. But boy, if that was your kid, you would have just wished they were going 25 miles an hour. So on that one, I think these folks just got to slow down.
All right. I just want to tell you thank you.
I mean, again, I'm not being self-righteous here.
That's okay. I've gotten a few myself, but I'm not being self-righteous either. I mean, I do pay them. Just got one going to the airport. I just want to say thank you, by the way, for the recognition that your office and yourself that you gave to me for Black History Month. That was awesome. It's still my profile picture if you go on my Facebook page. And I think so. I want to thank both Alex and Marie, and also just want to say that I think part of that helped to propel me to become the new chair of Community Board 17. So I just had to throw that in there. I got elected last night. So
congratulations. That's so great. And congrats. That is fantastic. No, you deserve all the credit. You get the credit for the award and the credit.
Right. John said it was rigged.
To recognize it. And if folks don't know what a community board is, maybe you'll tell them. Let's make sure everybody gets on their community board and keeps contributing in the way that you are. Congratulations on that. And thank you so much for welcoming me. I look forward to coming back.
Thank you, Comptroller.
Thank you for joining us right here in the village. God bless. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you so much.
All
right. God bless
ladies
you.
and gentlemen, we've just been brought to you by our New York City Comptroller, Brad Lander. He joined us today to talk about your city pension, your monies, whatever it needs to do, talk about inflation, talk about housing, and some of the things that they're going to do to alleviate that. And one of the main topics that he discussed was the MWBE, the minority Black woman, minority woman Black enterprises, and to make sure that you are part of that. And if you missed it, you can always subscribe to our YouTube channel at The Village Show, The Village Radio Talk Show. I always miss that. I put the email, or shoot us an email at Village Show 30, where you can get us to send you the link so you can sign up. Actually, get Andre to send you the link to sign up for what you might have missed. And thank you, Comptroller, and thank you, Anne Marie, and your office for making that happen. Yeah.
Thanks, Anne Marie.
So
Hey, Doc. Happy birthday.
Well, early happy birthday to you.
Thank you, Doc.
What are you like? Happy birthday. Who's on second? Who's on first?
No, I don't know. It's on third.
Mean it? What?
What is where?
I thought we was on fourth.
No, where's not on fourth
Why not?
because there's no fourth.
Of course there is.
Is where home?
That's what that's what my son says. He goes fourth base.
Where's home?
Oh, John, I have a question. Is it Brooklyn Skyhawks you play for, Brooklyn Knights? Brooklyn Kings.
Skyhawks.
Brooklyn Skyhawks, right? Because they were Brooklyn, I think Kings.
Brooklyn Skyhawks.
No, I'm saying Brooklyn Kings. I think it's Brooklyn Kings that were practicing at Purdigate Park.
Mhm.
And I asked the guy if there was a Brooklyn Skyhawk. He said, yes, but I was unsure which one he played for. What was my wife saying?
She's off after us. She's the end of the month, right?
Yeah, she's June
I
30th.
told you, June people rock. Bring it back.
Represent. Andre. Sophia. Get up on the Gemini.
Don't want to get up on no damn
So
January.
villages.
We stay in January. We're going to stay in January. I'm just forget them.
Well, you know what? June is an awesome month. We get to celebrate
For you.
Father's Day
Oh,
too.
let me tell you something.
Let me tell you,
June
we
is-
get to
June
celebrate
is only
Father's
awesome because you celebrate your own self. June is the worst month,
Day.
except for June
Oh,
30th.
wait. I say we celebrate Father's Day, and you say it's an awful month. Are you kidding me?
Fathers are not celebrated like mothers. I don't care. Move on.
That's true. We don't get celebrated like mothers. Not at all.
I'm not wishing no
You
mother.
know,
Okay,
you can get a reservation on Father's Day.
You
but
can't get one on Mother's Day.
You can't get a reservation.
And if you
for
can,
Mother's Day.
even if you have to wait, the line is not as long. I don't
You
hear
know
that.
what?
I'm thankful for my mama. I think my kids gonna wake up on Thursday, Saturday morning, and go, Daddy, who? Man, please.
But you-
You know,
no.
John, wait, Andre just made a comment,
What's
right?
that?
Andre just made a comment, right? And
What's the comment?
the comment Andre said that some mothers like fathers. Crap. Don't ever tell your kid that you're both a mother and a father to their child. A mother will never know what a father can do. A father will never know what a mother can do.
To clarify, I said some mothers will be wished a happy Father's Day.
No, and they should not be. They should not be wished no happy Father's Day. Period. You're not a father to any child. I am not a mother to no child. None. Zero. No woman can be no father. No man can be no mother. Period. Anyhow you look at it. So when guys like to, I'm the mother and the father. No, you're not. You're the father. And you try to raise your children to, hopefully you are, to respect women. And if you're a mother, hopefully you're raising a child to respect men. But you cannot be a father. Period. So don't make that don't. And I think what happens, especially in our Black community, where we are number one, the Black community is number one for single mother household. And when you make that statement, it makes the father invalid. And that's another reason why fathers are not around, because we make them invalid in a relationship. When you make comments like you're no good like your papa, why your papa don't come around? Well, because you don't value them. John is like quiet here back. You can say whatever you want, right?
I don't even know what the hell he talking about.
All
I have absolutely no idea.
Well, you disagree?
What you're talking
You can say
about.
you can disagree.
You know, I think you're flawed with respect to that.
No, I have a mama and a papa.
You have a mom and a papa, but
Yep.
sometimes
But I hear what some single parents say.
some single parents are a mother and a father.
No, they're not.
Yes, they do.
No, they're not.
They do the same thing.
No, they don't. No, they do not.
What's the difference? What's
No,
the
they-
difference?
What a
You
mother?
have a single parent mother who provides for the family, roof, shelter, gives
So-
them an opportunity. Hold on.
I didn't.
And then-
Wait. There's a difference between saying. It's two different things. There's a difference between saying that you are a quality parent and you do what you need to do as a
Because
parent.
you're doing the jobs of two parents. You have a mother, you have a father. You are doing, instead of sharing the responsibilities of uplifting
All
your
right, so
child.
listen,
You're
look at-
doing the entire.
There you go. I think you cannot be a father, right? But you can take on the, of course, because if
So
you're the, but if
that's
you're the
what we-
parent, you have no choice.
No, that is what we are talking about.
No, that's not what we're talking about. That's not
What
what
are
we're
you
talking
What
about.
are we talking about?
We are
Yes,
talking
that's
about
what you're
when
talking
people
about.
say, I am the mother and the father.
And that means what they mean by the
Yeah.
mother and father meaning I'm taking,
taking
if
on the
the
role.
father is absent, I'm taking over the role of the father. If the mother is absent, I'm taking the role of the mother over. That's what they're talking about. They're not saying synonymous that I'm your mother and I'm your father. No.
I am, whether it's by choice, by behavior, right? Or circumstance, right? Any of those three. By choice means I'm kicking out the mother, kicking out the father. By circumstance is just how unfortunate how life happens. Or three, by situation, unfortunately, one of them is no longer with us, right? Whatever the situation is, why you're in that position, right? And just the same, by the way, the opposite. You have parents who stay together because of the children. A lot of parents stay together. They can't stand each other. They sleep in different beds, or they sleep back to back, right?
Okay.
Because of the
Sophie, I agree with you. And the
Right.
mother has to play both roles.
right.
Yes.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, what I'm saying,
Please be clarify what you're saying.
I
because
did. Well,
No, you're not. You didn't.
we cannot continue to tell our children that I am your mother and your father.
Roger.
We cannot continue to tell our children that because it invalidates the other relationship.
How does it
No,
invalidate?
Because what you're saying is, I don't need, you don't
Do you
need.
know the circumstances in which it
It does,
arises at?
again,
No, the circumstances matter, brother.
no, well, could be,
True. It's
could
true.
be,
The circumstances
It's
could
matter.
be, but not in all cases.
You know what? It's
So
a case.
that's-
I think. Go ahead,
All right.
doctor. Go
So
ahead, doctor.
that's why.
That's why I believe in arranged marriages.
Well, that's you and your arranged marriage. Crap.
That's why I believe in arranged marriages, because the
You.
arranged marriages, it gives roles and responsibility.
But
So
there's no guarantee that. Wait. There's no guarantee that the individual
they
is.
last long. Arranged marriages last longer
They
than
might.
not might.
A lot of
It's not a might
things
question.
change. Might.
No, it's not a might question. Arranged marriages
Brother, do you have the
last.
statistics?
Go
Do you
look
have
it
the
up.
statistics?
Andre, look it up.
Look it up. Thank you. Andre.
Arranged marriages last longer than pure love marriages. I
So
meet
did
you.
your, wait. Did your parents arrange your marriage?
No,
Okay. So zip it. Okay. Zip it.
But more so, some people don't even have a choice in getting out.
okay. So Andres added a caveat to it. He says one of the reasons why they last longer is because traditions and systems are in place,
A lot
and
of
it's harder to
traditions have
escape.
changed. A lot of things. Have you noticed culture
Again.
change?
Okay.
All right, my wonderful arranged marriage people who believe in it. Why didn't you get married?
Because
that
our society does not allow for that.
way? Okay, but so stop saying something that you're bragging. Oh, that's
I didn't
why
brag.
in it.
I did not brag. What I said was arranged marriages they sustain, they last longer than pure love marriage.
I don't know what he's doing tonight. He's
Okay.
really on
So
some
a lot of you know what, when you have these conversations, right? People get upset. Joanne.
Nobody's getting upset.
No,
brother.
Joanne. Did you hear what I said? Joanne.
I get
Like,
upset.
because you touch on
Wait.
hold on. You get upset because you touch
A nerve?
on a part. No, yes, but not that kind of
You
nerve.
can touch a nerve for
No,
me.
not that kind of nerve. Hold on, let me finish the thought.
Arranged marriage.
That you touch on a certain level of freedom that as a person you want to have. And then when you touch on that, you're taking away my freedom, my rights. It creates a problem. However, we don't look at the outcome of the situation. I didn't say it was a good thing or a bad thing. I just said I believe in it because it creates a true function of a family.
So then you would therefore, according to your analysis of what the creation and the function of the family as a result. So therefore you would be against a woman's right to choose because it is impacting.
You think so?
It is impacting the the functions of the family, because that's creating a possible family.
I
that's what you're
think
saying, right?
what I'm saying,
Okay.
or when it comes
That's
to that
what I
part,
said,
I kind of agree with you, kind of disagree. I kind of agree, kind of disagree. You have abusive people both ways. A woman who says, I want all these children. A man who says, I want all these children. And neither one of them have the ability or the capability to take care of the children. Right? So I think when it comes to children, children has to be a conversation, not a happenstance.
Oh,
So, right? A conversation. So if my wife and I, right, when we got married, I knew she wanted to have children, right?
mm-hmm.
I knew I can't sit down and tell somebody, oh, you know what? My child was an accident. Might have been an accident because I didn't plan the exact day, but he wasn't an accident. So I can't go around and say, oh, my wife duped me and she wanted to stay together with me and she got pregnant. That's a crock of baloney, because that's not true. But if you and I discuss and I say to you, you know what? The agreement going in is I want one child. We have two, no problem. Right? Oh, but one of us said I wanted 4 or 5 children. And I'm like, no, we can't have 4 or 5. Right? Or the other one says I don't want 4 or 5. And then the conversation, and then the other one is forcing the other one to have 4 or 5. If you don't, if you know, in order to stay with me, you have 4 or 5 children. Why can't we come to a compromise? Why can't we just have 2? But if the woman ultimately says, I want to have 4, and the guy's in that relationship, he's going to have 4. Unless she acquiesces to compromising or only have whatever number he states. There's a difference, right? So that's when the conversation about parenting becomes a thought. I don't think like I said before, I don't think a guy has the right to tell a woman when you're not in a marital, and I'm going to use the word marital, we're not going to like when I say that. But if you're not in a marital relationship with a child, with a parent, with a woman, you got to know first whether or not she's willing to carry that child to term. And don't sit down and pretend like you don't want to have those damn conversations. You better have them. Right? Right? Because then you can't go, oh, she trapped me. She had a kid with me. Yeah, because women will do that. Men will do that too. Women will give you the child when it's not yours. You know how many times, Maury, you're not the father. Yeah, I got it. Right? So you will get trapped. So don't pretend like that only exists. Right? Because a man, again, he can only inject. That's all he can do.
All right. So this conversation started because I said, oh, this weekend is Father's Day.
No.
I was starting to appreciate the wonderful.
We already passed that.
Host. And you went into a whole spew.
Move on from it. Yeah, I told you, whenever we take a topic that strikes a chord, when you hit a topic that strikes a chord, like you wouldn't even agree with me. You wouldn't agree with a single point that I'm making because it strikes a chord.
Fathers who are out there.
Oh yeah, cancel me. Go ahead, cancel me. Go ahead, cancel me.
Decided to go.
Cancel me. Cancel me.
So we do have great fathers out there. That's what I wanted to celebrate. But you know. Are you done with your rant?
No.
So I do want to say.
Why are you trying to cancel me for? So you don't agree with nothing I'm saying?
Phenomenal fathers.
You don't agree with nothing I'm saying?
Out there doing the job.
You know what I do agree with?
Oh God, another one. All right, just move on to the next topic.
Thank you, wonderful fathers
out
there for their kids.
Well,
they're making a difference, who are supporting.
We're not disagreeing with that.
Okay, so
but that's not what. But this nobody's arguing that.
Anyway,
listen, you have great parents, right? We know that if a mother and a father stays together, right?
Wait. They don't have to stay together to be a great father.
Hello. Again, another chord. You must learn to listen. I didn't say. Why do you always do that? I didn't say that it's all fathers. I never said all fathers.
You know what?
What I said was,
okay, wait. We
what
appreciate
I said was,
what I think you should be saying.
No.
What I think you should be saying is that congratulations, Father's Day coming up.
No,
But no. But
no,
there's
I
other-
refuse
there's
to. Because you know
there's
what,
other-
John?
but
I am so sick and tired.
that's you who's
Wait,
tired.
hold on. Wait. Let me finish the thought. None of you going to cancel me on this thought.
Oh, Lord.
I am so sick and tired of women and men, and I'm not blaming one over the other, that go into relationship that don't last an extended period of time, and you bring children in this relationship, and you start moving out.
Who the,
And-
who the,
Wait. I'm not done yet. I'm
you-
not done
Who the
yet.
hell are you? The moral
No,
police?
Wait, I'm not. Wait. Hold on. I am not telling anybody to stay in any relationship.
You are basically are.
No, I'm not.
You sound like one of them right wingers saying, you get pregnant, you have your child. Forget
You're
forget your right
No,
to.
no. What I'm saying, and I've learned this personally,
Ugh.
right? Personally, a lot of people go and they don't ask the right questions. Like, you don't learn to ask. Like, I was never taught to ask the right question going into a relationship,
Okay.
right?
What's the
You do things like, oh, emotionally, I see the girl, I like her. I see the guy, I like her. And you don't have no questions. And all of a sudden you get into a relationship, like my wife always say, see me and come live with me are two different things. So now who's going to suffer in the middle? We all know, and it's not 100%. The best relationships are one that stay together, right? That's the best. Not that it's all. I didn't say all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm making sure I didn't say all.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Where the children see both mother and father every day, and they're doing the same thing every day. Like, you don't say roles, right, and responsibilities, right? But we know that. And then after that, it's still underneath that. It's still both parent being in the relationship. Then you have those break up. Now you have great parent on both sides, and
Like
you don't
both
know why
parents.
they're breaking up.
Mm-hmm.
Mother nor father. You don't know why. And it's not the mother and it's not the father. It's them. It's both of them. I'm not taking no credit for no male loser or no female loser. I'm not saying that. Unfortunately, though, majority of the time, the woman ends up with the child and it makes the father look like a loser. Right? Because the system does create that. It's very rare when a mother loses the child in custody. Rare. It happens, but it's very rare. Like, you have to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that she's an incompetent mother, right? For the father to have the child. So sometimes guys do look bad, even when they're not bad fathers, but they just can't win in court. The court will not do it, and he pays child support. But we do. So sometimes we really have to, like Creflo Dollar said, "What's your bank account? What do you look like when you get angry? How do you treat children? What are you saying to the woman? How do you do the deed? The deed, right? What happens? Does he go to church? Does he believe in God?
Lord have mercy.
Does he drink? Does she drink? What does she look like when she drunk?
I didn't know we the relationship.
Right? So that's that. So happy father. I just don't like when you give the other person's role, because it is their role.
Well, here's the thing. Just
And
saying your
congratulations.
father,
And if the
you're
father
not
don't,
doing
you're
the
not
job
doing
of
shit.
a father,
But I agree.
a title, but then you're not really a father.
No, I agree with you, Joanne. Joanne, I agree with you. I didn't say there aren't loser fathers and loser mothers. I never said that. I agree 100%. My biological father, I didn't even know what he looks like until I was 32. So I understand. I'm not sitting here being a hypocrite.
So shout out to those who step up.
And my stepfather went up to the plate for 40 years and took care of me. Period. Nobody. And when I'm
and that's who we celebrate.
right, and that's who I'm celebrating. But I'm not.
That's it.
So I'm not being a hypocrite in the conversation.
So let's focus on the positive. Those
I am
who
focused
go
on the
out,
positive.
Those who
Man,
actually
keep
might
walking
not
on the
have
same thing. Can
kids,
we move on?
who
Yeah, let's
adopt
go.
and just
So let me just give credit to my dad. My dad took on the greatest responsibility of this right here. This guy
that's
in this
headache,
orange
that's
shirt,
headache. Ooh-wee.
the headache that he is,
Oh Jesus.
he stepped up to the plate, and he was, and he became, and forever will be my father. So anytime you hear me talk about my father, I'm talking about my dad, Linton Llewellyn, because he is a great, great, great man. So
Well,
I'm very proud of him.
I please. I'm a daddy's girl. I'm a mommy's
It's
girl. You
happy
already
birthday to
know.
Mr. Pierre as well.
Happy birthday to who? Mr. Pierre.
Who's your father?
How you say happy birthday to
On
him?
Father's Day. You said happy birthday. I was supposed to say not happy birthday. I'm just sorry, it's your birthday. What do you want from me? Forget you.
That's why I said, okay.
Yeah, happy Father's Day.
Yeah. So I have an awesome father who
Yes,
is.
and I know John is thinking about his dad because his dad has a very special place in his heart always. He never went anywhere without his dad all those days. I mean, I met John with his father in his hat. His father, your father was like in your office, another worker in your office, man.
Yep.
Yeah, he was always there. Growing up, Prescott always telling me about your dad, but prior to, Prescott, right? So he was prior to meeting you and stuff. So I know you always miss the parent, but I know John miss his dad a whole lot. So again, my condolences. But I know, but I know your kids are not making you. They're making sure that you know that you are, you're loved. Especially my sophomore girl, who I can't stand right now. She mad. Yeah. Why are you laughing?
Listen, I could just laugh. I can
I
laugh.
feel about Swarthmore. Not that we hate each other because it's very important.
Oh God.
Like John. No, wait, hold on. Let me finish the thought. Like John feel about the Bonnies when they kicked his behind in football. Yeah, we are. Let's go to January 6th. Okay. Let's go to January 6th. Oh, wait. Do you have anything that you want to add? I'm done. I'm not talking. So if you have anything to add,
You know what?
You can talk to
Yes. I
know.
know. And he cut me off because I was giving a shout out to my dad, who is also an awesome grandfather. Who, hey, the grandpas out there, not only the fathers, the grandpas, the uncles who step up to the plate, the cousins, the teachers who actually stand in as a father figure for so many. So shout out to all of the male figures who are doing the do, and you guys are valued, important, and we appreciate you. So
Amen.
thank you.
Amen.
all right. So January 6th. Yo, what's going on with that? Yo, are you seeing some crap that's coming out, dog? About your former president?
You know what, Roger? You know what? What is January 6th hearings doing about decreasing my gas, decreasing my food bill?
Mm-hmm.
But
No, hold on.
Yeah, I'm listening.
That January 6th hearing ain't putting no food on my table and not putting no gas in my gas tank.
There you go.
It's not decreasing the rate of inflation.
So what are you trying to say?
You know what? This is the problem with Democrats. We're talking about an issue that really does have no impact to everyday Americans. This is nothing but a distraction. We know how horrible Donald Trump is.
I think Andre wants to say something.
We know how horrible the man is.
When Andre want to talk, right?
We know how hypocritical they are. But you see what the Republicans are doing? What are they doing? They don't care because they're saying $5 gas. Eggs went up 33 cents.
The market is crashing.
And look at the market. Look at the rate of inflation. You can't buy no home no more because the interest rates are going up. And whose tenure is this happening?
I think the Republicans know how to frame the message.
Of course.
Right?
And we're too busy about what's going on January 6th. What happened on January 6th that we don't know already?
Well, okay, so
we know more in depth about what people said. We know the Republicans
but
are
John,
hypocrites.
John, I think there are a couple of ways to look at this, right? I think there's like when you're in education, right? I'm gonna use education because education, you have social studies, you have science, you have English, you have foreign language, physical education, all the different subject areas, right? And then you have the principal, right? The principal is supposed to be able to, am I correct, Joanne, manage all of these subject areas and bring them together to make the whole school work, right? So what I don't think I think there is a place, a very important place historically and current and futuristically. Remember, history teaches your past,
Mm-hmm.
so you do not recreate them in the future.
Repeat.
That's the purpose of history.
Mhm.
And like the conservative federal judge said today, that Trump presents a clear and present danger to democracy.
Mhm.
And democracy is what this country is
It's
supposed to be.
Mhm.
And I'm going to put the word supposed to be
It is.
in quotes. In quotes. I'm putting in
It's-
quotes. Supposed to be built on. So if your
It's-
democracy is in trouble,
It's Trump in office.
right, it doesn't matter if he's in office, because he still has influence of people going into office.
And why do you think Trump has influence in the people going
Because
in office?
the
Why?
message that Trump was given when he was in office resonated with 75 million people who voted for him.
And what was the message?
The message is hate black people, bring America back, hate you, right? Do anything you want and blame the government. But he didn't say hate black people. I shouldn't say
Like
that.
the government, like the Democrats say, defund the police.
Right?
Defund the
And
police.
no, not the, well, the far right wing says to get rid of the government. He's not saying that either. So let's not go with the extremes, because they're extremes, right? They're extremes. White supremacist is extreme. The only reason why I said about the black people, because he never truly denounced the white supremacists. That's why I'm saying that, not because he really did say that, right? But the real issue is, if he puts enough people in office, I help to put enough people in office, he might look to overturn an election and affect democracy. Remember, Hitler was duly elected. Papa Doc
and
was duly elected in Haiti.
Why is he able to do that? Because we are talking about issues that do not
That's not
impact
true.
the everyday American people.
That's not, but that's what I'm saying though. As a principle, President Biden and the Vice President Kamala Harris need to
Vice President
refocus.
who?
Kamala Harris.
Who?
Who's the Vice President?
Who? Do nothing, Kamala Harris?
Oh my God. You know what? Leave it alone. Leave it alone. Don't
Do
go there.
nothing?
Do not go there.
Yes, Sinclair, you're right. Absolutely. Big up to all the fathers who are good role models.
Do not go there.
So
But wait.
the
Our
president,
former-
by the way, the vice president, right? The vice president, Kamala Harris, is like assistant principals in schools. They get no credit for nothing that they do. So
What has she done?
I don't care what you
Wait.
never know.
It's the
What has
same
she done?
thing
You
as
will never know what the vice president has done, because the president gets credited for everything under his watch, unless he steps up, and he shouldn't until she's going to be running for office. Right? He's not going to say that this came from Kamala Harris or this came from my cabinet. He says the presidential office will do.
But you
Right?
know, we thought
So
the
the
same
vice
thing.
principal, the vice president, the assistant director gets no credit until they take off the word assistant and put the title there. All right. Good.
You know what? Many people felt the same way about Pence as well.
Yep.
So,
And now he's getting chewed out, because clearly he made a stance that I am not overturning no election. I ain't that damn fool. But now all of a sudden they're blaming him.
Who's blaming him?
The far right. The far right.
That's the far right who's blaming him.
So what? You just talk about the far left. Why can't we talk about the far right?
Far right is blaming him.
The president is saying if he had done what he was supposed to do, then Donald Trump would still be president.
well, you know what? I have not had a chance over.
Sharon Cambridge, what do you agree with? I just want to know. And Tanya, what do you agree? You're saying I agree. So what it tells? Oh, what do you guys agree with?
So
Yeah.
They probably agree with what I was saying.
That could be.
looking
Who
over
gives a
the
hell
last
about the
couple of
June
days,
January 6th?
I don't know. It is important. Yes, Joanne. John keeps interrupting, and I'm following suit.
looking over the last couple of days, it is important to see who are all the masterminds behind the scenes, because we're oblivious to so many things. Yes, it's not relevant right now, but it is. So I agree on both of your end, both part, because when you look at how much detail, how much behind the scene was being worked on to reverse something that actually was legit, is surprising. And especially those who are also on decision making, like the judge Clarence Thomas, his wife being a former judge, so that is major, because now you're working on both sides. So you don't know who's the snake. He's supposed to be impartial, but unfortunately his wife is so very involved in
Thomas is
this.
the snake. He's the snake.
So so
So
that's,
says the Republican.
you can't trust. Who can you trust? That's what it's showing you. Who can you trust?
Not
No
the
one.
snake.
No one. So, and you know what? It's also saying keep your eyes open. It's never as simple as it seems. And it's going back to what? The money trail. Follow the money trail. So, there you have it.
Follow me. Follow the money.
The stock market is down. Yo, I'm looking at this right now. Everything is red.
So, we are going into a recession. And what's next? How are you preparing for that?
That's a good point. No, take the mic. Why are you afraid to talk? No, say what you. We didn't hear what you said.
I was gonna say it's Mark.
Turn your mic on. Press the button.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying we kind of marked on face. So what people should be doing is really watch the market, but good time to invest, right? It's like if you go to a store and the jeans is for $30 versus
clearance sale.
Yeah, versus one that's for $20, you're gonna want the $20 one. The market is cheap right now.
Market's cheap, like a short pair of sneakers.
Yeah.
They were like $750. Now they're $250.
Yeah, that's true.
Buy.
Wait, but you just don't want to go in there and just go buy, right? You want to do your due diligence.
You want to buy and then sell.
One of the things that we remind people, like when you invest in, don't invest in one type of company, right? You got to diversify your portfolio, and then you have to look at your age too, right? So your age is important. If you plan to retire within the next 5 years, don't go out there and go crazy, right? And if you are in retirement, don't go crazy either, right? You got to, if you're young, be aggressive. You're under 50 years old. You don't plan to retire within the next 50.
You're over 60.
Right? Yeah. You're under 50 and over 21. Right. Actually around 16, 17. Right? Because remember, the younger you are, the longer you're expected to live, right? That's just unfortunately how it goes. Nobody predicts life or death, but the expectation is that you're going to live longer, and the market always corrects itself. It always does.
That's why you stay in for the long haul.
Right. So some of you are really nervous about investing. The market always corrects itself.
Now's the time to jump in.
Now is the time to again, it depends on your age, but you want to talk to a financial consultant about the areas. So you have $5,000, take it out of, depending on what your age is, take some of that money out and buy some stocks, right? Some stocks that were very high, they're more than likely, they might not get as high, but they're going to get back high if you get them low. You might see a turnaround, a loss in some money. Like Tesla's not going anywhere because by 2030, right? By 2030, all cars need to be electric. So car companies that are moving to hybrid, Kia, Hyundai, Tesla, right? They're going to hybrid. Toyota, they're going to go to hybrid because they need to make money.
If Elon Musk keep acting like how he be acting sometimes, you might lose him. Well, I'm just saying.
He's not going nowhere. That guy's worth almost $250 million. I mean, $250 trillion. He ain't going nowhere.
You also have other commodities too. So like oil, gold, right?
Gold, silver.
Yeah.
Real estate. A lot. Real estate is really. I was saying, if you heard me earlier, one of my friends, she was sending me a message that said the same area that she bought a house. She showed me a spec of another house that went up $300,000 within a year, right? I was in Florida a couple of months ago, and when I looked at a place, Joe, in North Florida, in Orlando. The lady was asking for 3 bedrooms, 600,000. Right.
What
A lot
about
of places in Florida, people actually can't afford to live in Florida. Some of the retirees,
Florida's getting as expensive as New York,
it
and the
is as
income. By the
expensive.
way, the income is not the same in Florida, people. So be careful.
Yeah, it looks great, just like Atlanta looks great. But guess what? When you get there, the housing look phenomenal, but your income must be able to support what
There's a
it
lot of
is.
people that weren't able to do that. They were traveling back and forth from New York to Atlanta.
Yeah, and now a lot of people are selling their homes because they can't find a job.
Right.
Right.
real? So that's that's definitely important to keep in mind. When I invest early and live below your means.
I want to talk about something economy based. So a couple of friends sent me this ATF, no, air traffic controller position. I sent it to a number of people.
Mhm.
Of all the people who told me they didn't want the job, one person told me they weren't. A few people told me they weren't interested, but one person gave me a legitimate reason. Right? One person gave me a legitimate reason. She said the starting salary is about $20-something thousand less than my current salary.
Mm-hmm.
That I like that reason. She said it's going to take me 8 years to get to the max salary of $140,000. Right? Would you believe that another person said, I don't want the job because I want to do a job that's going to pay me minimum wage? I'm not going to tell what the job is, but I'm telling you that the job pays minimum wage. You understand? The job pays minimum wage.
Okay.
I send it out within my Black community. And this is sometimes where I have issues. I'm not saying the white community works because I didn't send that to white community, right? I send that to my Black. Could you believe that nobody responded and said they wanted a job?
I believe it.
Why, John? Why? The why? No, it's not my group of people. I sent it out to a general look, and nobody came back. I had one job. I called up a couple of people, and the job paid $20 an hour. The person, they don't work, and I said to them, I can make the person give you a call about the job. Not even one person called me back. Oh yeah, I'm interested. Not one person called me back.
So is it
So did they really want a job?
so the person never worked?
No, they're not working. They're literally right now, a few of these people, they're not working. I'm in like a number of groups. And so when you're in a number of groups, you have, people of different levels.
Are they making? So they're not even making any money.
They're not making no money.
Yeah.
They're actually asking people, they sometimes asking for money. I'm like, why are you asking for money?
It's enjoyable to just sit.
I'm offering you a job that pays you $800 a week. Not me personally, but offering the opportunity to get a job that pays it. What's going on? And then you complain that you don't have a job, the system is not working for you, you don't have a place to live, you can't afford your rent, right? You can't get around. And then the next thing is they're drinking out the wazoo, smoking up the marijuana. I'm not objecting to nobody smoking or drinking, but seriously, how do you support the habit? I don't know. Any comments, thoughts?
About what you just said?
Yeah. I mean, do you notice that, or is it just me?
No, I've noticed that. Unfortunately, a lot of people became lazy during the pandemic. They rather get the money that was coming in, the support that was coming in for the pandemic. And some people are afraid to go back to work. So there's laziness and there's afraid. Then there's those who don't want to be bothered. So there's phobia too. So
I'm not the people who are afraid to go to work because they're afraid of COVID, for whatever the reasons are. They're not taking they're not taking a COVID test, or they really because there are people who really have phobia. They won't fly. They won't do this.
yes,
They have
it's
anxiety.
real.
I'm not talking about those people. I'm really not. I'm not talking about those people. I'm
Mhm.
talking about those people who weren't working prior to COVID.
Okay.
Right. I'm talking about those people who just don't want to work. John, they come to your office when you were in office. They would say, John, help me do this. And you say to them, hey, Sophia, hey, Roderick, you have to do A, B, C, D, and E. And then you never hear from me again.
Some people are not motivated.
Because they came to your office expecting for you to say, here, Roderick, here, Sophia, here's the check. And when you didn't say, here's the check, they walked out. Oh, and John is not doing anything for me. He's in office, but I go to him. No, but he did. He told you what you needed to do to get the funding. All right? I don't know. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about people with anxiety. I get that. People, I can't even bother to argue the, your belief is your belief. So hopefully you can make it. Yes.
I hope.
Andre was, you can't see him. Go ahead.
I hope
Joanne couldn't see you. That's why. Go ahead.
I hope that the Senate is able to pass the gun reform, because we're about to go into the summer session and we want our children safe, we want people safe, and we need these guns off of the street. Looking back at last week or the week before, the young 15-year-old that got shot up sitting in her home in Queens, that was ridiculous. But just praying that they come together and they help with the major issue that we have with gun reform. So, just remember who you vote for.
Tell us what happened exactly in the Senate.
You tell us what happened.
So the House voted Wednesday 223 to 204 to pass a wide range of package on the gun legislation Protecting Our Kids Act. And 5 Republicans.
You know what that's worth?
Squat.
Yeah, they're just passing and all. But of course,
because the real things in reform are not passed.
Right? The real thing is what they're trying to negotiate to try to get some sort of agreement. And this is just a waste in futility. So I'm sorry, Andre.
No, it's nothing sorry about. It's more so like you have the people sum up with them what the thing is about. And then you say this crap. Right. So
I mean, at the end of the day, it was still mostly partisan, right? Although they want to put it as bipartisan because 5 Republicans voted yes and
2 Democrats voted no.
2 Democrats. But at the end of the day, what did the bill really say? What was the sweeping gun reform? Right.
Probably a lot of loopholes, things that people don't probably.
Right. It sent me what? Okay. So did you talk about? I know you were talking. What exactly did the bill do? Did you talk about that? Right. It banned the semi-automatic rifles to people under 21. Banned the sale of magazines that hold more than 15 rounds of ammunition. Yeah. Established stricter requirements regulating storage of guns in homes. Okay, that's cool. But the fact of the matter is, to me, a couple of things that were not there, John, is background checks. Right? Other things that were there that are not there is that 18, right?
But on a positive note, to just bring it in, since it's
that one music.
The positive note is there is that committee with Mr. Cornyn from Texas, Murphy from Connecticut, and they're working together to put a bipartisan bill together, which hopefully will make some changes. It's a start. It's not everything we want, but it is a compromise. And this is what we're talking about, villagers. We don't care about whether you're a Democrat or Republican. You got to be for us, the people, in order to get what we want. So on that note, can you take us home, Mr. Daly?
Yes. I first of all, I want to again remind everyone, happy Father's Day.
Yes.
To all of us, especially my dad, and to all of our dads out there. I want to say happy Father's Day to you. Please, fathers, if you're not stepping up to the plate, step up. Be a father to your children. They're yours. Don't expect somebody else to be if you're not being that dad that you should. So please do step up. Call your children. Let them know that you're there. Happy belated birthday to Joanne. Happy birthday to John tomorrow when it comes to David. Happy belated birthday to King and all the other June persons. Miss D, may your soul rest in peace.
Amen.
Thank you so much for bringing us to this celebratory day here in New York State. You're watching, listening, sharing, viewing, participate, and subscribing. We're now adding the word subscribe. Subscribing to the Village Radio Talk Show right here, 92.1 GD Radio, where we are dedicated to empowering the community to live a healthy, safe, and financially capable life through education, helping each one of us in realizing our dreams at any age, at any point, starting from today. Success is not just spoken, it is done. Are we hearing our goodbye music now? Are we too late? Okay.
Have a great
ladies and gentlemen,
weekend.
please enjoy your weekend.
Peace and blessings. Happy Father's Day.
Yes.